Hello, I'm Michael Dellinger, Chief Information Officer for the City of Tulsa. First, I want to give you an update on what happened, and then I want to give you an update on where we stand today. On Thursday, May 6th, we received notice that some of our servers were communicating with a known threat site. Soon after, a ransomware attack was initiated on several of our systems. Upon notification, a cybersecurity incident response team was assembled to assess the threat and disconnect the affected servers. Our incident response team began isolating the affected systems as the attack moved quickly through our network, prompting the team to shut down all services. Excuse me. We engaged an outside incident response team to assist with the assessment of the identified threat as we began the forensic investigation. Forensic data has been turned over to state and federal partners to investigate further and is an ongoing investigation. Following the attack, the emergency response team assembled and initiated the city's IT disaster recovery and business continuity plan and advised departments to implement manual business processes defined in their continuity of operations plans until online services were restored. Our priority from the beginning has been to restore our critical resources and mission essential functions, which include our public-facing systems and our internal communications and networking. We have prioritized all business systems, and business recovery teams are being assembled to restore and validate business system functionality. While we can't give definitive timelines, we expect several critical systems to come back online in the coming days. While some systems may take weeks to restore, mission-critical online systems are a priority. To put this in perspective, we have 64 priority systems with multiple servers that are components of each of those systems. The city has a vast network spanning multiple locations, and this process has been slow-moving. It is essential for this to be done right before we bring the systems back online. When there are updates to our public-facing systems, such as our online electronic billing systems, we will alert the public as soon as they are available. I would like to extend a special thanks to Cox Communication, Verizon Wireless, T-Mobile, and WST IoT Solutions for providing our locations with temporary internet access so we could complete our damage assessments. Additionally, Cisco, Midcon, SHI, Dell, CBTS, Microsoft, Commvault, and many others have provided round-the-clock support and assistance to ensure we restore our services quickly. Lastly, I'd like to thank my team for their around-the-clock work. Many of them have worked 16, 18-hour days to assess the damage and start to restore systems. And lastly, I would like to thank the citizens of Tulsa for their patience. This time, I'd turn it over to Mayor G.T. Bynum.
Thank you very much, Michael. So just a couple updates since we visited last. Thanks to some really, I think, outstanding work by federal law enforcement personnel, we know who did this. They are under federal investigation, so I can't say who they are right now, but it's reassuring to at least know who's doing this or did this to the citizens of Tulsa. They did send us a note, a ransom note, seeking for us to make contact with them. Their initial threat was seeking ransom or that they would announce that they had hacked our servers. We made no contact with them whatsoever and did their job for them by announcing it on our own. And we're not going to pay any ransom. I'm really thankful for the IT team that we have at the City of Tulsa, our contract partners, and state and federal cybersecurity personnel who are helping us address this and do so in a way where we don't have to reward criminals for their behavior. So, you know, the trade-off of that, of not rewarding victimization, is that it takes time to go through all of our systems and make sure they're clean before they're restored. And we have a team here at the city that is working with a broad range of partners to go through every computerized system that we have. You'd be shocked at the number of things that we use computers for these days that you don't even really appreciate until you can't use them anymore. But they are going through each of those to make sure that they are clean and 100% safe before they go back online. And that takes a bit of time, and it takes some inconvenience for us as a team at the City of Tulsa and for the citizens of Tulsa. But I think two big things come from that. One, it really shows the resilience of the team that we have here at the City of Tulsa yet again. You think about the way that this team has had to adapt over the last 2 years through floods, tornadoes, global pandemic, national recession, budget reductions, furloughs, now a cyber attack. All of these things come up, and yet our team just adjusts each time and finds ways to continue serving the citizens of Tulsa no matter what challenge comes up. The other thing that's very important to us is that we want to send a strong message that the City of Tulsa is not sitting here waiting for you to hack us so that we can pay you money. And so if you want to find people who will do that, there are plenty of others apparently that are out there, and you best spend your time focused on them rather than on our systems moving forward. Speaking of our systems, I want to be very clear that our police officers and firefighters, as we discussed at the last one of these, they're in the field, they are responding to calls, they're doing their work. Now, are they able to do the work the way that they were doing it a month ago or that they would like to be doing it? No. That's why the citizens of Tulsa spend so much money on the IT systems that our first responders utilize. But first responders in Tulsa were responding to emergencies long before computers were widely used to do so. And our first responders have really done a fantastic job of adapting to the realities of what we have to work through right now in a short-term period of time. And I'm very grateful for that. We're just utilizing a lot of manual processes, whether that's in dispatch, or responses in the field, or work that we do here at the City of Tulsa. Lots of pen and paper rather than over computer. On utility bills, I want to reassure people that your water is not going to be cut off in the midst of this. If you can't pay online, the Tulsa Metropolitan Utility Authority adopted a resolution last week that there will not be any water cutoffs until 5 days after electronic payment capacity is restored. So if you're concerned that you're not able to pay your water bill online because of this situation, don't be. We're all in this together. There's not a sense of urgency. There shouldn't be on your part there. Just keep that money saved up. That's what we're doing at our house, and be ready once the system is back online. But your water will not be cut off in the midst of this, because the citizens of Tulsa aren't at fault for this. It's the fault of cyber terrorists. The best way to engage the City of Tulsa right now is through 311. We have just awesome folks that are working in there that have, again, really had to adapt to a broad range of different processes than they are used to right now. But the best way to access city services is through 311. Best way to get information is through our city website, which is thankfully back up online and accessible. I just really want to thank the citizens of Tulsa for your patience, the federal law enforcement personnel who are doing an outstanding job, both for helping us and for tracking down those who did this to our community. And our team in the IT department at the City of Tulsa that is working 12-hour shifts, alternating on and on, 24 hours a day. They're going on almost 2 weeks of that at this point. We're all going to owe them a deep debt of gratitude when this event is over. And so now, happy to open it up for Q&A between Michael and I.
You just will raise your hand if you have questions. We have a microphone so we can get it through our video system.
Is it official city policy that we will never pay a ransom? Or I know we like to see movies where the United States does not negotiate with terrorists, but what is the city of Tulsa's policy?
There's not an official policy, but and definitely in this situation, we're in a position where we don't have to pay a ransom because the citizens of Tulsa invested in the cybersecurity infrastructure that allowed us to detect this and then to isolate it and shut our networks down in a way where we don't have to pay a ransom. Most cities that this happens to, they find out when their network gets locked down and the ransom note arrives. That didn't happen here because we've invested a significant amount in both expertise, outside support, and then internal infrastructure and support so that we could detect something like this and isolate it.
So the city of Tulsa will never pay money.
Not on this one.
All right.
No. And we've got the systems in place that allow us to say that and to protect us against others who might want to. That's the unfortunate reality in reading up on this stuff. The reality in cybersecurity these days is there is no organization in the world that is perfectly secure against cyber terrorism. But for those of us who are trying to protect ourselves, the name of the game is to be less appealing than others for a hack. And the reality is we have strong defenses, we have a great team, and we're not going to pay a nickel unless we absolutely have to. And because of those defenses in that team, in this case, we don't have to.
Yeah, James King, Channel 8. You talked a little bit about it there, but the defenses that you all have in place now, what exactly do those look like? And then has this attack made you all kind of reevaluate what can be done in the future to prevent something else like this?
Well, I mean, we really ramped things up about 3 years ago after the city of Atlanta was hacked and their network was locked down and they were held ransom. And that's when Michael and I started talking about how do we make sure that never happens to Tulsa. And that led to, he knows that world better than I do, so I'll defer to him on specifics as to all the things we did. I know from a budgetary standpoint, we invested significantly in it. I'm super grateful that we have a city council that had enough foresight over the last several years to recognize the importance of this and include it in the budgets that we approved. But that was the kind of flare that went off, not just for us, but I think for a lot of cities, about what happened to Atlanta in 2018, and then realizing that we needed to up our game. And thinking about this particular instance, I think a key lesson for us is that we're in a position to not pay a ransom because we made those investments. But those investments were good enough to save us this time, but they might not be in the future. You always have to be thinking about how to stay ahead of the cyber terrorists and make sure that you're making the necessary investments to protect your digital infrastructure and the citizens' data. And we've had a commitment to that in the time that I've been the mayor, and we will be moving forward. I don't know, Michael, if you want to add anything on that.
Yeah, so from a security perspective, the real key to something like this is to have layered security in place. And we actually have several layers of security in place so that you can A, detect it, and then B, try and prevent it. And so that was what was in place for us when we started. Since then, we've added additional layers as well, because every threat you get exposure to, you learn from, and you're able to adjust your defenses in how they behave. So, yeah.
Elizabeth Caldwell, KWGS. I'm wondering, are police body cams down? And if so, what are you doing in the meantime to address that?
So all of our computer systems, with a few exceptions, are down right now. So the body cameras still work, but the challenge with them is that we've had to change the way that we upload the data off of them. So usually an officer in the field, when their memory storage on their camera starts to get full, they can go to station or when I've been on ride-alongs, a lot of time I go to a fire station and tap into the Wi-Fi there and upload everything. Well, we have no Wi-Fi right now because of all of our computer systems being down. And so the IT department is working with TPD to upload all the data off of those cameras, just utilizing different processes, and then get them back in the field. And our goal is to have them back to being fully deployed here in the next 7 to 10 days.
Can I ask another?
Sure.
So you said you know who did this, but typically I think these people operate from overseas. So I'm wondering if you can share how likely it is that they'll actually be brought to justice.
I can't share anything other than that we know who did it.
Andres DeBarres, Channel 8. Being on the international stage now, I mean, this is a message for Tulsa saying, look at us. We took on a threat and we encapsulated it. What does that mean to the world in general? Because that's more eyes on Tulsa, and mainly the business world is watching, and how a city responds. And the way it responds is the way business relationships, I think, grow in the future. What is your message to the business world? And then also for the technical world, what is the message that, by early doing this, and then for the other cities, what can they learn from this that may be now targeted next around us rather than just a bigger city such as Tulsa or Oklahoma City?
That's a great question. So I would say, first of all, we know that the hacking community has taken notice because I've gotten more phishing emails in the last 7 days than I have in the last 4 years in trying to test our defenses. And again, thanks to the defenses we have, and I would say another benefit of this was an elevated and renewed awareness amongst all of our employees to keep an eye out for hazardous emails, because that's the most common way that this kind of garbage gets on your systems. But I think the clear message that we're trying to send is that we have strong systems in place here at the City of Tulsa, and we have no inclination to negotiate with cyber terrorists. We're not embarrassed to publicly say when we've been a victim, and you're not going to get hush money from us for that, and that we're not going to pay to get our systems restored more quickly when we can go through and do it ourselves. So we're not looking to pay criminals both to keep something quiet or to make things more expedient and easy for us. We will be completely transparent and do the hard work and avoid rewarding criminal behavior. And I think the most important audience for me that would hear that is the citizens of Tulsa, to know that your data here at the City of Tulsa is secure, and to know that your tax dollars are not going to go into the hands of criminals. And Michael, I don't know if you want to add anything on.
I guess to address, from a technical perspective, I work with a lot of different CIOs across the nation, and we meet fairly regularly, and these are topics that we all discuss, and how do we better defend ourselves from even international as well as even national threats that come against our systems. So we will do a lessons learned internally, and I will likely be sharing that with CIOs all over the country, as well as our security manager also does that as well, where he will share that with other security managers around the country. And the goal is that collectively as cities and counties and states that we use that information to better protect our citizens.
How often do you guys get hit here in the City of Tulsa? Like, just knocking on your door trying to get in?
It's daily. In general, we're looking at roughly 60,000 email threats a day. We can have up to 12,000 threats from a firewall perspective. I know I'm getting a bit technical there. I do apologize. Which again, that's your first external defense. So it is a daily protection effort.
Any last questions?
Yeah, I've got a few. I've got a picture from a viewer showing what was pretty much someone from IT coming out with a cart of stacked I think, CPUs. Are you having to go system by system and building by building, making sure each one is clean?
Correct.
Okay, so that picture was, okay.
Yes. Every system in the city is being scanned for damage because an attack like this can spread quickly. And so we are testing every system, every server, every computer, every endpoint to ensure that we have a clean network before we bring it back online.
Like I said, I think it was when we had our first news conference, I apologized to Jane Smith in accounting if this is really someone. Did you figure out if Jane Smith in accounting or someone like that opened up a potluck invite and that's how this got in? Or how did this get in?
That's still being investigated.
Okay. And I know you said last time this had signatures of the Colonial Pipeline. Is this linked to the Colonial Pipeline?
It's a similar type attack.
Okay. All right.
What was their ransom? What was the amount that they wanted?
We did not actually pursue to find out what the amount they wanted. Yeah.
They wanted to talk with us about what it would be for them not to announce it, and we never engaged them. We just announced it ourselves.
Okay.
Any last questions?
Yeah. Any ETA as to when life will get back to normal for y'all?
It will.
Globally or just on site?
Minus COVID. When we can get back to life with COVID. Yes.
From a technology perspective, it will go in phases. And so, again, we have 4 different priorities on our systems. We've categorized those, and we'll be working through those. Many systems will come on in the next few weeks. Some systems may take up to a month to get online. And again, a lot of that is just there's a number of systems that have to be checked, tested, and then business validated, because we want to make sure that the business validates the system is functioning as it was intended.
I want to clarify something that was from last week, sorry. Just, this will be my last one. I know you said no customer data was accessed.
Mm-hmm.
Any employee files accessed, or were they just held hostage?
Yeah, at this time, there's no evidence of any data breach where data has left our network. And again, still being investigated, but at this time, there is no evidence of that.